He left me alone on our wedding night, and at midnight, I heard unexpected sounds that changed everything I thought I knew about him. My name is Mia, and before that night, I would have sworn I married the perfect man. People said our love looked like something out of a movie. He was charming, attentive, patient. The kind of man who warmed your hands when they were cold, who remembered how you took your coffee, who kissed your forehead every morning like it was a ritual. From the outside, we looked unstoppable. But behind closed doors, the truth was far different. And I learned that on the very first night, I became his wife. The wedding was beautiful, too beautiful almost, the kind of beauty that feels staged, practiced, rehearsed to perfection. But I didn't question it. I was too in love, too overwhelmed, too desperate to believe that after years of broken homes, divorced parents, and an older sister who warned me never to trust a man completely, I had finally found someone who chose me wholeheartedly. Or so I thought. We arrived at the hotel suite long after midnight. I was exhausted, barefoot, holding up the layers of my dress. He carried my luggage inside, placed it near the bed. And then something in his demeanor shifted. He kissed my cheek. Not my lips. My cheek. "I'll be right back," he whispered. "Just need to check something." I blinked, confused. "Check what?" "It's after 12. He hesitated. The first real hesitation I'd ever seen from him. Then he said, "It won't take long, don't wait up." And he walked out.
Just like that. No explanation. No smile.
No look back. The door clicked behind him. I stood there in my wedding dress, surrounded by rose petals and champagne, and all the props of a night that was supposed to mean something, and felt the first crack in the world I thought I built. Minutes passed. Then an hour. My calls went straight to voicemail. By the time the clock hit 12:47 a.m., I wasn't just confused. I was shaking. And that's when I heard it.
A sound.
From the living room area of the suite. Not footsteps. Not the door. A whisper.
Low.
Muffled. Almost like someone talking into a wall. My breath stopped. I stepped carefully, the carpet soft under my bare feet, and moved toward the sound. Another whisper. Then something that felt like a tiny metallic click. I thought maybe he had come back without me hearing the door open. I thought maybe he was talking to someone outside on the balcony. I thought a lot of things. But when I rounded the corner, there was no one there. Just the dim glow of a lamp we hadn't turned on. And the balcony curtains moving. Not from wind, but from someone having slipped past them. My chest tightened. Someone had been inside the suite with me. And I hadn't been alone at all. I took one step back. And that's when I noticed something else. Our suitcase. The one he had carried in earlier. It was open. Not unzipped. Opened.
Carefully.
Neatly. And inside, under his shirts, tucked into a corner like something precious and dangerous, was a small black device with a blinking red light. I had no idea what it was. But I knew one thing. It didn't belong to me. And no groom brings something like that to his wedding night. As I knelt closer, the blinking stopped. Then the device emitted one faint sound. Just one word. A voice, distorted, unfamiliar, male, whispering. "Asset acquired." My blood turned to ice. Asset.
Who was the asset? Him? Me?
Us. Before I could touch it, before I could even breathe, the door to the suite unlocked. Slowly. Quietly. Like someone was trying not to be heard. I stood frozen, still wearing my wedding dress, staring at the door as it opened inch by inch. And my new husband stepped inside. But he wasn't alone. And the look on his face told me. He never expected me to still be awake. He stepped back into the suite slowly, like a man crossing a threshold he wasn't ready to face. But what struck me wasn't anger, or guilt, or even surprise. It was exhaustion. Real, bone-deep exhaustion, the kind that makes a person look older than they are, heavier than life should make them. When his eyes met mine, he froze. "Mia, you're awake?" His voice tried to be calm, but it wavered, and that small tremor told me more than any confession could. "I couldn't sleep," I whispered. "You left." A faint shadow crossed his expression, something between regret and fear. I told you I needed air. But you didn't come back. My throat tightened. It's our wedding night, Andrew.
He flinched at that.
Not dramatically, just a tiny twitch in his jaw, like the word wedding physically hurt to hear. He took a step inside, then noticed what stood behind me. The half-open suitcase. His entire body went still. Mia, don't go through my things. I didn't, I said softly. You left it open. That was the moment everything inside him collapsed. Not outwardly. Not with gestures or shouting. But inwardly, like the final beam snapping in a house that had been standing crooked for years. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaled shakily, and moved toward the bed before sinking onto the edge. The man I loved, the man I had promised my life to, looked completely undone. I didn't want this to happen, he murmured. Not tonight, not on the one night that was supposed to be perfect for you. For us, I corrected. But the words tasted uncertain. He closed his eyes. Mia, you deserve a man who can show up for you, and I. His voice cracked. I don't know if I can be that man. A tremor went through me. Andrew, what's going on? You barely looked at me after the ceremony. You left the moment the door closed, and now you're talking like you regret marrying me. His eyes opened again, red and tired. That's the problem, Mia, he whispered. I don't regret it, not even for a second, but tonight, his breath hitched. Tonight brought everything back. Everything what?
He swallowed hard.
I had a panic attack. The room tilted. A panic attack. I repeated softly. He nodded, shame flickering across his face. I haven't had one in years, not since. He hesitated. Not since my brother's wedding. My heart stuttered. His brother. The one he never talks about. The one whose name disappears whenever the subject comes up. The one who died supposedly years ago. Andrew, what happened to him? He looked away, eyes glassy. He didn't die the way my family told everyone.
A beat.
He left because of me. The words fell heavy, like stones hitting the floor. I stepped closer. What did you do? He shook his head, pressing his palms together like he was trying to keep himself from falling apart. Tonight, when I saw you walking toward me in that dress, smiling like you believed in us, I felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like I was stealing a moment that belonged to someone better. My throat tightened painfully. You're not stealing anything, I whispered. You're my husband. He gave a hollow, broken laugh. I didn't feel like your husband. I felt like an imposter, like any second, someone would walk in and expose everything I've tried to bury. And then, in a voice so quiet it barely existed, when I left the suite tonight, I wasn't going for air, Mia. I was waiting. I thought my brother would show up. I thought he'd try to take you away, to warn you about me, to tell you what kind of man you'd just married. Tears burned my eyes. Why would he do that? Andrew finally looked at me, really looked, and the grief in his eyes made my heart fracture. Because your mother told him to. I froze. My mother? He nodded slowly. Mia, your mother and my brother were connected in ways neither of us ever understood. Their decisions, their secrets. They shaped everything that led to this night. What happened between them didn't end when they disappeared from our lives. It ended right here with us. The suite felt colder suddenly, like the past was a living thing, rising from the floorboards. And what happened tonight, he said, voice trembling, didn't start with you or with me. It started with them. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. It felt like the air itself froze, suspended between his confession and my disbelief. My mother? I whispered again, almost afraid to hear the answer. He nodded, rubbing the bridge of his nose like the truth physically pained him. Mia, our families crossed paths long before we did, and not in the way you think. A faint ringing started in my ears. What are you talking about? Andrew exhaled slowly. My brother Lucas, he didn't leave because of me. He left because of your mother. I felt my stomach drop. That doesn't make sense. My mom barely knows anyone from your family. That's what she led you to believe, but years ago. He hesitated. Your mother was the reason Lucas disappeared. A memory flashed. My mother standing in our old kitchen, chain smoking by the window, saying, Some truths do more harm than lies. Remember that, Mia. I never knew what she meant. Not until now. Explain, I demanded.
He swallowed.
When Lucas was 24, he struggled with depression, the kind that doesn't show until it's too late. My parents were strict, traditional, they didn't believe in therapy. They thought he was dramatic, attention-seeking, but your mother.
He paused.
She was the only person who listened to him. My breath caught. My mom?
How?
She worked at the community center he used to go to. She wasn't a therapist, but she was training to become one back then. She had this way of seeing people, of hearing what they didn't say. Lucas trusted her. He confided in her. My pulse quickened. And then, Andrew's eyes softened with something like grief. And then he fell in love with her. I felt my heart twist violently. Andrew, that's impossible. My mom was married. His expression told me everything. I know, he whispered. A wave of nausea rolled through me. No, she would never. She didn't cheat, he said gently, but she didn't push him away either. She cared about him too much, and he misread it. He thought she was his salvation. He thought she was the only person who could save him. A pause. And when she tried to set boundaries, he spiraled. I felt my throat tighten. So, he left because his heart was broken?
No.
Andrew looked at me with something heavier. He left because she told him the truth. What truth? He hesitated. That he reminded her of someone.
Who? You.
The room tilted. How could he remind her of me? I never met him. Andrew clasped his hands together. Because your mom told Lucas something she never told you, something she couldn't tell you. A beat. She told him she once had a child she couldn't keep. My breath fractured.
No.
No, that couldn't be true. My mother never. She would have told me. She wanted to, but she couldn't. She lived with that guilt her entire life. I shook my head, trembling. So you're saying my mother had a baby before me? A baby she gave up? And she only told your brother? She saw the same loneliness in him that she once had in herself. She trusted him with the truth. Tears blurred my vision. And what did Lucas do with it? He became obsessed. He thought he was meant to save her, to save that part of her she'd lost, and when she rejected him, gently but firmly, he disappeared. I felt cold all over. So where is he now? Andrew's eyes darkened. No one knows. He vanished the next day, left his phone, his clothes, everything behind, no trace. My parents said he ran away. Some think he hurt himself. And you? I whispered. I think he met the child your mother gave up. My blood ran cold. What are you saying? Andrew stood slowly, walking toward his open suitcase, the one he left carelessly unzipped hours earlier. He reached inside and pulled out something I hadn't noticed before. A faded envelope. Yellowed edges. My mother's handwriting. My knees nearly buckled. Where did you get that? It was addressed to you, he said quietly. She wrote it the night before she died. My heart stopped. She left it in Lucas's locker at the center, thinking he'd come back for it. He never did. I found it years later. He held it out to me. I didn't want to give it to you on our wedding night, but after everything, you need to know the truth. My fingers shook violently as I reached for the envelope, because suddenly I understood. The ghost haunting our wedding night had nothing to do with love, and everything to do with legacy. My mother, his brother, the child she lost, the secrets they shared, the guilt they carried. All of it led us here, back to this room, to this moment, to this letter. For a moment, I couldn't lift my hand. The envelope felt heavier than any object that size should ever feel, like it contained a universe I wasn't ready to face. My mother's handwriting, my name, a past I didn't know existed. Andrew stood silently, giving me space, but the air between us stretched tight like a wire ready to snap. Finally, with trembling fingers, I tore the seal. Inside was a single folded page, soft from age, ink smudged in places as if touched by tears. I unfolded it, and my mother's voice, her real voice, the one she never used when she was alive, rose between the lines. My Mia, if you are reading this, then I am already gone, and the truth can no longer hurt you the way it once hurt me. My breath hitched. There is something I could never tell you while I lived. The greatest mistake of my life. And the greatest loss of my heart. My fingers tightened around the paper. Before you were born, I had a son. The words blurred instantly. A brother. I had a brother. My mother had a son before me. I was young, frightened, and alone. His father left us before he took his first breath. I had no job, no home, no one to help me. And when he grew sick, I couldn't afford the hospital care he needed.
A tear slid down my cheek.
A social worker told me he would not survive if he stayed with me. So, I made the most painful choice a mother can make. I gave him up to save his life. I covered my mouth, sobbing silently. I watched strangers take him from me. He cried. I cried. I pressed my face to the window of the car he left in, and I never saw him again. Andrew lowered his head, eyes glassy. But the letter wasn't done. I told no one. Not your father.
Not you.
Not even myself some days. The guilt drowned me. My mother's secrets had teeth, and they were sinking deep. Years later, at the community center, I met a young man named Lucas. Fragile, gentle, lonely. So much like my lost child that it terrified me. He reminded me of everything I had done wrong. My heart pounded. He felt connected to me. I cared for him, but he misunderstood my compassion. And when I tried to step back, I broke him. Just like I broke my first child. I swallowed hard, throat aching. If I could go back, I would choose differently.
For him.
For you. For all of us. My vision blurred again. If Lucas ever finds you, if my first child ever finds you, tell them I'm sorry. Tell them I never stopped loving them. Tell them I carried both of you in my heart until the end. At the bottom was a final line, shaky and faded.
Forgive me, my Mia.
Some mothers love imperfectly, but they love. The room was silent except for my trembling breaths. Andrew stepped closer, but didn't touch me. He knew this moment wasn't his to break. I looked at him through tears. My mother had a son, I whispered. And she lost him. And she thought Lucas was him. Andrew nodded slowly. She didn't know, Lucas didn't know, they just recognized something in each other, a wound that matched. A terrifying thought formed in my mind. What if my mother's son is still alive? What if Lucas looked for him? What if that's why he disappeared? Andrew's eyes widened, the same realization striking him too. Mia, what if your brother is out there? He swallowed hard. What if he's the reason Lucas ran and not me? My pulse thudded in my ears. What if Lucas found him first? And suddenly, everything we thought we knew felt wrong. So painfully, dangerously wrong. The cafe felt smaller with every breath I took. Andrew sat across from me, eyes fixed on the letter as if reading it again through memory alone. My mother had a son, I whispered, still clutching the trembling paper. And she lost him. The guilt ate her alive. Andrew nodded, and she found Lucas years later, someone who reminded her of him. A chill ran through me. But one question throbbed louder than all the others. Who was her real son? And where was he now? Before I could ask aloud, Andrew inhaled sharply.
Mia.
I need to tell you something I've been afraid to say. My heart slowed. What? He hesitated, then pulled out his phone and opened a photo. A grainy picture of 3 teenage boys. One of them was unmistakably Lucas. But the second, my stomach dropped. The second boy had my mother's eyes. What is this? I whispered. Andrew's voice broke low. That's Lucas and his best friend growing up. I pointed at the boy with the familiar face. Who is he? Andrew locked eyes with me. That's your brother. The world didn't just tilt, it flipped. My brother? My voice was barely sound. How? They were inseparable, Andrew said. Lucas told me once he always felt like he'd known him his whole life, and now we know why. I pressed a shaking hand to my forehead. My brother grew up in Detroit, with Lucas right beside him, and none of us knew? Andrew nodded slowly. And he didn't know either. His adoptive parents kept everything sealed. My breath trembled. What happened to him? Andrew hesitated. Mia, your brother died 3 years ago. Every bone in my body went cold.
How?
I whispered. A shooting. Wrong place. Wrong time. Lucas never recovered from it. He said it felt like losing a piece of himself. Tears blurred the cafe into watercolor. My mother never knew he lived, and I never knew he died. Andrew reached across the table, but stopped just short of touching my hand. Lucas found out last year. About your mother, about the adoption, he tracked down records. That's why he was so distant with you. My heart squeezed tight. He didn't run from me, I whispered. He ran from the truth. Andrew nodded. He didn't know how to tell you that your mother's lost son, the one she cried over for decades, was gone, and that he, Lucas, was the last person alive who loved him. A sob escaped my chest before I could hold it in. But what does this have to do with the wedding night? I choked out. Andrew closed his eyes and finally said it. That night, he began slowly. Your mother's old social worker called Lucas. My spine stiffened. The same one who handled your brother's adoption. I pressed a hand to my mouth. He told Lucas that your mother submitted a request years ago to find her son, and that after she died, the file got flagged. Andrew's voice dropped lower. But Lucas' name was on the file too, as the closest person to your brother. So he panicked, I whispered. He wasn't just panicking, Andrew said. He found a locked box in your mother's old belongings, one she left behind with the social worker. I swallowed hard. The wooden box. Andrew nodded. He opened it on your wedding night at midnight. My pulse hammered. What was inside? Andrew stared into me. A photo of you and your mother, and a second photo of your mother holding a baby boy. Your brother. My eyes flooded again. And a note, Andrew continued. A note asking whoever opened the box to tell her daughter the truth when she was strong enough. I closed my eyes, breath trembling. He was going to tell you the next morning, Andrew said, but then he paused.
What?
I whispered. What happened? He exhaled. The man who killed your brother got released. Early, Lucas got the notification that same night. The air left my lungs. So Lucas left me on our wedding night. To protect me, I whispered. Andrew nodded. He thought the man might come after him. He didn't want you anywhere near that danger. My heart cracked. He left to grieve, and to keep me alive. Yes, Andrew whispered. Before I could respond, the cafe door swung open, and someone I never expected walked in. A woman, tall, sharp-boned, with eyes that flicked like steel when they landed on me. My aunt. My mother's estranged younger sister. She had vanished years before the funeral. No calls, no messages, a ghost. But she walked straight toward me now. You found the letter, she said, voice colder than winter. Good. I stood slowly, heart hammering. You knew, I whispered. She nodded once. I was there when your mother gave up her son. I held her as she screamed, begging them not to take him. My chest tightened, painfully. You let her live with that guilt, I demanded. She winced. That guilt kept her from trying to find him again. She thought she didn't deserve forgiveness. Silence. Then she leaned in closer. Do you want to know the real truth? She whispered. My throat closed. What more is there? She exhaled shakily. Your mother never knew your brother died. Because I didn't tell her.
The floor seemed to drop under me.
Why? I whispered. Because she would have gone after the man who killed him. She would have destroyed herself. A cold shock spread through my body. Lucas found out. I made him promise not to tell you until after the wedding. Andrew stiffened beside me. She said you weren't ready, he murmured. I stared at them both, shaking. You all kept this from me, I whispered. You decided what I could handle. My aunt's voice softened. No, we decided how to keep you alive. The truth hit me like a wave. Everyone had been trying to protect me, in their own flawed, heartbreaking ways. I turned to Andrew. Where is Lucas now? I whispered. Andrew hesitated. Then a soft voice behind me answered. Right here. I spun around. Lucas stood in the doorway, exhausted, eyes swollen from grief. but alive. My breath caught. He stepped toward me slowly. I left to keep you safe, he murmured. I stayed away to keep you whole. But I can't do it anymore. Tears pooled in my eyes. I found your brother, he whispered. And I buried him. And I loved him. And losing him killed me. He wiped a tear from his cheek. But losing you would finish the job. My heart cracked open. I deserve the truth, I whispered. You do, he said. So here it is. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small wooden box. My mother's box. You should open it, he said. Really open it. Because there's one more thing inside. Hands trembling, I lifted the lid. Inside was a second envelope. Not addressed to me, but to the man my daughter chooses. Lucas's breath caught. Andrew's eyes widened. My aunt stepped back. I unfolded the letter. My mother's writing filled the page. If you love her, tell her the truth always. When I couldn't. When I failed to. Her brother's blood is not on her hands. His memory is not a curse. He loved deeply, and so does she. Protect her. Stand by her. And if you ever leave her, leave only to save her life. I looked up at Lucas. That's why you left, I whispered. He nodded painfully. I followed her wish. And it broke me. I stepped closer, tears falling freely. It broke me too. He looked at me, really looked, and in his eyes I saw grief, love, guilt, hope, everything tangled together. So what now? He whispered. I inhaled deeply. Now, I said, taking his hand, we tell the truth. Together. Even when it breaks us. A year later, I stood at my brother's grave. His name carved gently into the stone. My hand rested on the cool granite. I'm your sister, I whispered. And I found you. Too late to meet you. But not too late to love you. Lucas stood behind me, fingers intertwined with mine. My aunt placed flowers beside the grave. Andrew took a quiet step back, hands in pockets, watching over all of us like family he never asked to be part of, but chose to stay for. The wind moved softly, peaceful, real. My mother's words echoed through me. Tell the truth, even when it breaks you. I did. And it built something stronger in its place. Love. Family. A future. The truth destroyed us at first, but in the end, it saved us.